seeing anything at the moment. Hold on a minute.
You just come stand here with me. It'll be okay if I see part of you. Good morning. You all might be seeing something a little different. We got a slideshow put together. So while we're watching for everybody to tune in and comment that you're on, Mr. Marks put together a slideshow that you're seeing on the Facebook page. As we're waiting for everybody to get logged on, we thought it would be fun for you to be watching pictures of some of the stuff that's been done during our first few weeks. So just saw Mia and Evie holding their weaving project. This weaving project was one we did in our very first week. There's Garrett and Morgan in their school setup. You're going to see some of the water ink wash dolphins. Hi, Bay. I just saw Bay working at her table picture. There's the Fontana boys. They were working on dolphins during our first week. You can see their setup at their table. And you'll see some of our weaving projects. You'll see some of the dragonflies that we just did this week. There's an awesome dragonfly. There's one of our portholes with the black and white and our op art. So see if you recognize your pictures in the slideshow. And then comment, let us know that you're on. Let me know if you saw your picture up there. There's Olivia. Hi, Olivia. I just saw her op art picture. Look at all the crazy birds. We are seeing dragonflies. This is part of the Schroeder family, all these dragonflies. We talked about them yesterday. They are a family that found us online and pulled together their own supplies in their house, and mom and dad and kids are all doing it together. I see Sophia's dragonflies there. The pictures look really, really cool. I'm watching them on Joey's phone so I can see what you guys are seeing, why everybody's getting logged on. So when you're on, be sure and type in a little comment. Let Mr. Mark know that you're there. Enjoy all these awesome looking pictures. You're seeing some of the Schroeder family there with their crazy birds. Are they not adorable? Looks like there's somebody working on dragonflies. That's my niece, Kelly. She had a great way to do her birds. She's over in Atlanta, doesn't have any of these supplies. She's a school teacher, so all her supplies are at school, and she's at home doing online classes with her kids. But she's on spring break this week. That's why she could do our classes. And Kelly found markers. She just finished graduate school and just got her master's. And she had all kinds of different color highlighters that she used. She didn't have a bunch of markers in her house. Those kind of supplies are all in her classroom at school. But she had a lot of different color highlighters. I always thought highlighters were yellow, but apparently there's orange highlighters and red highlighters and yellow highlighters and green highlighters and blue highlighters. So if you're at home watching us and want to try some of these cool projects that you're seeing, then go check if mom and dad have any highlighters in their desks. You'd be surprised how many different color highlighters you can find. They also blend really cool when you use them like markers.
Emily logged on.
Hi, Emily. I heard Emily's logged on. Did I see Alicia's logged on? I got Sophia out there and Casey. Hi, Sissy. My sister's watching in Ohio. Oh, are we supposed to be seeing Miss Ginny? Lauren, no, right now until we got everybody logged on. Usually you're watching me talk to you, but we thought it'd be more fun for you to watch all the kids' pictures that have been posted that we've been tagged in. Hi, Nick. So right now, while we're waiting for everybody to get logged on, instead of just watching me sit and talk to you, you're getting to see all this cool slideshow that Mark put together. Good morning, Alicia. Oh, this is fun. Joey's showing me. I get to see comments. So watch the slideshow for a minute. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get logged on here. So be sure and type in a comment so we know how many people are on. Nick likes the slideshow. Did you see some of your work in the slideshow? Sometimes if a picture's there, I can notice who it is, but lots of times we've got pictures of the artwork and I'm not sure who did it, and they're all so awesome, so I don't know who to guess as who is who.
Michaela's there.
Hi, Michaela. Michaela's mom sent me this awesome picture of Michaela holding her Goofy Birds, I think. And, oh, my niece Kelly's watching. Kelly, I just told everybody about using different colored highlighters for Sharpies with their Sharpie for markers. Michaela was, awesome picture of Michaela holding your Goofy Birds. They turned out really cool, Michaela. I sent a note to your mom checking if she's okay if we post that picture with you in it. So we're going to give everybody just a couple more minutes. Make sure we're logged on. We're doing, oh, I was about to point to the picture we're doing, but you can't see it yet. We're doing a cool watercolor and marker picture today. We're using the one piece of paper you've got left. Should be a big piece of watercolor paper that says night sky in the corner of it. We're going to make a nighttime picture. Oh, I love the setup of Morgan and Garrett. That's one of the slides you just saw in the slideshow, working at their table. And it's been awesome. Some of you are watching me on little like iPad screens. Some of you are watching. My mom said she posted my pics, but I don't see me. Well, I'll check with Mr. Mark and make sure. As long as we've gotten the picture tagged to us, he's been able to capture it. I'm so not a techie person, so I don't have any clue how he did this.
Either one of us, really.
Yeah, Mr. Mark says he's not a techie person, but he really is. And Mr. Joey's in here helping us every day. So you've got Mr. Joey and I are probably the least techie people. I'm way worse than Mr. Joey is. But if we've been tagged, I think Mr. Mark's been able to capture the pictures. We're going to do another slideshow. So next week you'll be watching a different one. So we thought this would be fun. This will show you some of the pictures we've seen from these first couple weeks through yesterday. And if you don't see your picture up there, send us a note, post the picture again and tag us. We'll see if we can't capture it and get it in the next slideshow. It's kind of fun to see your stuff up on the screen. Somebody, I think, Morgan and Garrett maybe, somebody's watching me. They've got the laptop, I guess, hooked into your television, and some people are watching this on like a really big screen, which looks really cool. It's kind of fun for me to get to see some of the pictures in the slideshow because I get a little peek into how you're working at your house, since I don't get to see you working here at the table. So we've got most people about ready to start, I think.
Ready
So
transfer to you.
Mr. Mark's going to transfer so you can see me instead of the slideshow. There you go. So can you see me?
Probably not quite yet.
There's a delay.
Not quite yet. There's a delay. I got little thumbs up here in the studio that I'm on, but there might be a little delay before you see me. Send in a comment so Mr. Mark knows it worked. And when you can see me, let him know that the slideshow's off and I'm on. So let's see.
I got you now.
Okay. Somebody typed in to let us know you've got me. So you can see me. The slideshow, I think, will be on the Facebook page as a video. Is that right, Mr. Mark? So you can go back and look at it at another time. Right? No?
Be part of this.
Oh, it will be part of what leads into this. So if you pull up today's video,
You'll see it.
you can watch the slideshow at the beginning of today's video. Okay, got it. Like I said, I am so not a techie person. Okay, here's our picture we're doing today. We're doing this really cool night sky with stars in the sky. Obviously, we're not on Hilton Head if you look at this picture. This to me looks like we're not even east of the Mississippi. I thought it would be really cool to draw some mountains, to really look at how we draw mountains so they don't look like a bunch of upside down ice cream cones. And mountains are three-dimensional. See how three-dimensional my mountains look here? And we're going to use a little technique called cross-hatching to make some shadows. We're going to use the paper to make them look snowy, and we're going to use some cross-hatching to make them look like they have shadows, and we're going to create, I would say we're out west in the Rockies. So we had snow the other day, which I envisioned we were out in Colorado where Mr. Joey's friend Tim just went back home to. So this looks like where Tim might live, or even further west in the Rockies, or all the way up in Washington State. So we're going to do this cool picture. We're going to use watercolor for the sky. We're going to use some Sharpie for the bottom half of the picture, and we're going to start with the bottom half of the picture. So today, you want to make sure you found your piece of paper in your bag. Watercolor, it should be the last piece of paper you've got left. Should say night sky up in the corner. And then we want to get out your 3 little pots of paint that we haven't used so far. Should be the one that says P on it for purple, and BLK for black, and B for blue. So we're going to get out the blue and the purple and the black. Find your pencil. We left it up to you to find pencils at your house, and we need our container of water. So find yourself a little container of water and a pencil. Go ahead and get your eraser and your Sharpie out of your bag. We'll draw with pencil and then use our Sharpie. And did everybody rinse off your plate from the Dragonfly Day? Remember how we used our styrofoam plate for the green paint? And I said, wash it off and save it. So if you washed it off and save it, great. Go get that plate, that styrofoam plate. If you didn't, if it's gotten thrown away in the meantime, things don't always go the way we hope sometimes. So find yourself like a paper plate. Most paper plates have like a kind of slip coating to them, so your food doesn't soak through and the plate doesn't collapse when you put food on it for a picnic. So a paper plate like that'll work. Worst case scenario, get one of your dishes. As long as you wash it off right away when we're done, it shouldn't stain. So if you saved your styrofoam plate, ideal. We're going to use this one styrofoam plate and put our 3 colors on the styrofoam plate. If not, find yourself a paper plate, or find yourself a dinner plate that you can use. I would grab a paper towel just in case. Mr. Joey, I left my cup of water over by the sink there.
Stella's watching.
Hi, Stella May. That's my granddaughter. She's at her grandma and grandpa's house today. Grandma and grandpa watching?
No, she's at Charlie's.
Oh, you're at home? You're home with Daddy? Oh, that's right. It's Friday. This is my day. Not today. Hi, Stella May. Are you and Daddy watching? We're going to make mountains today. Okay, so I've got my water. So did everybody find pencil? We can also use our little piece of chalk, but you won't need to use that till later. When our sky dries, you can use the chalk to put some stars up in the sky. So we're going to have a nice clear night, and have all these cool colors in the night sky. Night skies don't have to just be painted black. That would look kind of boring. So we can see some black, we can see some blue, we can see some purple. So it looks like a really pretty night sky. Okay. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes. Give me a thumbs up. You got your supplies going. We need a cup of water. You want to go ahead and pull out your big brush that we've used before, this chip brush, but we're also going to use your little round brush. So everybody should either have a little round brush left from last week, or you got a round brush in your bag this week. So we're going to use this one. These little round brushes will help us get down near our mountain. We're going to get most of our watercolor on here with our big brush. We're going to use the big brush to take the watercolor out. Okay?
Ready to switch?
Not quite yet. To most people, we've seen a lot of thumbs up. Everybody got your supplies? Okay, it's kind of like process of elimination. You knew what we were going to use today because it's all the things we haven't used so far. Now, Mr. Mark's got a new camera set up today too. So we're going to switch like Mr. Joey usually does, where you can see right down here on my project. And then you'll also still be able to see me talking to you up in a little corner window, I think. Okay.
You're there.
Oh,
Go ahead and start.
It's there. Okay. All right. So we are going to start by moving my paint stuff out of the way a little bit here, because the first thing we're going to do is draw. So let me get these things out of the way. And I'm going to draw with a pencil just because I'm drawing sideways and I don't want to look raggedy like my tree the other day. So you let me know if you think my mountains look raggedy, and that way I'll, with my pencil, be able to fix them. I want to show you a couple things I'm going to put, oh, let's see, in this camera, right, I got to keep it down here. I'm going to pull this picture down here so you guys can see why we're got to be flat. Mr. Joey's telling me to wait a minute.
This camera's not working.
Oh, is the we're having technical difficulties. You guys can see me talking here in the little window, but our big window's not showing down here on my table yet.
There you go. Gotcha.
Are we fixed?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a piece of scrap paper here, so don't draw on your paper yet. I'm going to slide it over here out of the way. I want to show you a couple things about mountains. And I'm just going to draw with my Sharpie. So this is what I don't want you to draw. Look at our mountains here. Mountains are never really even. Every peak of a mountain doesn't match in the same way. They aren't the same width. Like we have a little kind of low mountain here and a little low mountain next to it. Then we got this big mountain up here that's got a crack in the middle of it. We got a really skinny mountain, but it's not very tall. And then we have a big gap and we got a mountain over here. So when we draw mountains, we don't want to draw them like this. You know, sometimes we could go along and make a mountain range that would go across the top of our paper that would look like that. Now, that doesn't look so much like a mountain as these do, right? These look kind of flat too. We don't see the side of them. There's no dimension. It looks like they're as thin as a piece of paper. So we don't want to draw our mountain tops like this. Are they kind of triangular shape? Yes. But we're going to create this cool way to make them look like a three-dimensional triangle. So we don't want to draw all our mountains the same height. We don't want to draw all our mountains the same width, because mountains just don't grow that way. We're also going to draw a few little trees down here. So I'm going to try to redeem myself and not make any raggedy trees. When we draw trees down here, I'm going to show you a different way to draw them too. I figured out a couple ways that would make it a little easier. So I'm going to slide my ways not to draw paper underneath here. We're going to put our paper right down here. Okay, and you guys can see me okay? We're going to draw on here first. Now, my mountains come up more than halfway, right? If I looked at where was halfway on this paper, this is about the middle of my paper, right? We're going to draw horizontal so we can make this really big mountain range. So I'm going to have my mountains come up higher than the middle of the paper. And I'm going to start over here on the left. And what we're going to do is kind of make a V. Ignore my little shadow here on the mountain for a minute. And we're going to draw up, and then we're going to come down in a V. So the first thing we're going to do is draw this side of the mountain. So I'm going to start maybe in about the middle of my page here. And I'm going to draw with a Sharpie just so you can see me better. You go ahead and draw with your pencil so you can kind of tweak and change them around and get to where you're really happy with them. And then we can cover it with Sharpie. But I'm going to start in about the middle of my paper here. And I'm going to go uphill. And then I'm going to come downhill. So I'm going to go up like this. Now my lines on the side of the mountain, are they curvy and flowy, or are they very straight? Very straight. They might turn corners, but all my little lines are very straight. So I'm going to come up the side here. When I get to the top, I'm going to go down just like I'm making the top of a triangle or the letter V. So I'm going to come down on this side, just a little ways. This is this line. And I'm going to just leave it like that. We're going to come back and make these shadows. But first, we're going to make the tops of all the mountains. So we got one mountain on there. Everybody got one mountain on there? Don't even think about the shadow parts yet. We're just going to draw the top sides of the mountain. So this side of this mountain starts about halfway down here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up the hill and down here, just like I'm making the top of a triangle. So I'm going to make this one a short little mountain. And look at this side of the mountain. It comes down, 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 way down to here. And it gets all these little jaggedy lines. So I'm going to go just like the top of a triangle, but I'm going to go down a little further. I'm going to make all these straight little lines that go way down here. So this was this line coming down here. Okay. So I got two mountains. They look a little funny so far. They look flat. Remember how I did my ice cream cone all together mountain and they look flat because we haven't added this three-dimensional look to it. So I came down my mountain here. Now I'm going to make these two mountains go really tall in the middle. I like the tall ones here. You can make yours taller. You can make them shorter, whatever you would like. But see how this mountain's going to go up to its point, and then it's going to come down just like the top of a triangle. So I'm going to start this one maybe about halfway down this mountain, and I'm going to go up. I can turn it little bits every once in a while. I'm going to go way up here. This is this peak up here. And then I'm going to come down my other side. Just like a point at the top. I'm not going to go quite as far down on this one. I don't want to go as far down as these. Okay, so got one big mountain in the middle here. I'm going to put another one right next to it, and then it's going to go way down over here. Okay, so I'm going to go just a little ways down this mountain. I'm going to make another V. But I'm going to let this V come down a little further. So it came way down to here. Then I'm going to add a couple little short mountains over here. So it'd be kind of hard to go hiking through. Okay, so if we want to add a couple short ones, we're going to go right off the paper over here. I'm going to come way, way down this side of the mountain here and put a little guy right in here. So I'm going to start way down the side of the mountain, and I'm going to go up to the point, and I'm going to come down, but I'm going to let this one go way down, almost to the side of the paper. Not quite to the side, almost to the side of the paper. Okay, you ready to put one last mountain on? I'm going to leave a big gap. See how this mountain kind of leans way over here? I got a big gap between these mountain tops. These are close together. These are close together. I'm going to let a big gap go here. So when I go up, I'm going to start way down here, and I'm going to go up and over and go off the side there. So this is my last little mountain over here. So got all these little peaks and points on here. Now I want to make them look a little more three-dimensional. We're going to use this little technique called cross-hatching. But first I want to draw in the side of this mountain. So let me know, give me some thumbs up. Everybody got the outline of the tops done? And then we're going to come in and add this nice 3-dimension to it. Getting mountains on there. Do they look like the Rocky Mountains? I remember seeing the Rocky Mountains when we went out west, and they're pretty awesomely tall and ragged and rough looking like this. And usually they all had snow on them. Even on a sunny day, if you're near the bottom of the mountains and there's green grass growing, the tops of the mountains like this still had snow on them. They were so tall. They never lost their snow. Okay, you ready to add some dimension to your mountain here? We're going to do this by going back to the point on each mountain. You know how we went up to a point and then came down? Like we were making these letter V's at the top. We're going to come back to where that point is, right here. And I'm going to come down and create a little side part to the mountain. So to do this first one, I'm just going to come straight down a little bit. And I might come in and go out, make it a little jagged, but the side of it is coming back the same direction as this. So I'm coming down, but then it's going to come back, right back to here. So go up to the point, come down, you can give it some jagged edges, but then come back right along the same angle as the top of the mountain. Now, just so we don't get too many lines in here that we don't know what's what, and it gets almost like when we looked at our op art and didn't know which parts to color and not color, we're going to stop each time we put a side on like this. We're going to stop and give it some shadow. Now, this is called cross hatching. When we make little lines and then we go across them the other direction, and that puts some shadows on. Okay, Mr. Joey's going to move us in a little bit so you can see a little bit better.
Just for the crosshatching.
Okay, so did you come up to the point of your mountain and we added a side here? Okay, to do cross hatching, we're going to come and we're going to go make some lines just like we're making stripes. The farther apart the stripes go, the less shadow on this part of the mountain. The closer together you put your little lines, the darker it's going to look. So we're going to give it just some lines going this direction. I'm going to make them darkest right up here at the point. So I got lines real close together here. I'm going to let them space out a little bit as they go down the mountain. Now that's all my lines going one direction. And I'm going to go across them the other direction. And you don't have to put it all over. You can jump around, go across it in a few places. That's a nice way to give it a little bit of shadow on this side of the mountain. It also, since we're not making real flowy lines and shadowing it and really blended, it kind of makes it very rough and angular looking too. Okay. All these shadows and pieces on the front side of the mountain we're going to do later. But we're going to go put this side part on each one of our mountains we did before we do the stuff in the front. Okay. How we doing? Did you guys get some kind of shadowy side to your mountain here? We're going to come over here and do the next one. Now this guy's just a little one. And what I want to do with it, this one came down, went off the side of the page because I didn't have a mountain next to it. From here on, we're going to start at the point. We're going to come down and meet the point where this side of the mountain went. Okay? So we're going to move to the next mountain. Go up to the little point at the top, just like we did here. And then we're going to come down. You can kind of give it a couple angles if you want to. And we're going to meet where the other mountain comes down to. So I'm going to start at the point here. I'm going to, whoops, my Sharpie didn't work. I'm going to come down and meet that point right there. So from now on, we're going to go from the top point of the next mountain and meet the bottom point of the mountain before it. So we can come in and give this one a little cross hatching. Put some lines going one direction. And crisscross with some lines going the other direction. You don't have to fill them all in. They don't have to all overlap each other. And do you see where the most lines pile up? It gets the darkest. So leave a little bit of space and a little bit of white. We don't want to just color it in black. That would be too easy. Gotta make you figure something new way to make shadows. Okay? We doing okay? Give some thumbs up here if you got your first couple mountains in there. We got mountains in here. They look kind of cool. I like them. We get mountains. You ready for me to come over here and do this next one? To do the next one, I'm going to go to the little peak at the top where we made our letter V. And remember, I'm going from this peak and I'm going to come down here to meet where this mountain comes down. So I'm going to go from here to here. Now, since mountains aren't perfectly smooth and have perfectly cut sides to them, I don't think if we drew a straight line from here to here, it would look much like a mountain. Mountains get all these jaggedy crevices and nooks and crannies to them. So instead of going straight from here to here with one diagonal line, we're going to kind of give it some angles. We're going to use only straight lines though. I'm going to start here at the peak and I'm going to come down. I'm going to come in and go out a little bit. Make some long pieces and then come down. We don't want to go in and out all the same direction. You don't want to make the jagged part of the mountain seem too perfect either. So we can have a long line, we can have a couple ups and downs in there, and then get another long line, and then one more up and down. So go from this point down to this point. And then we'll put some cross hatching on it. Now this is a big mountain, so I'm not going to put my lines so close together. So I got a lot of lines on there. Might put a few more close together at the top. So go back in and add a few more in between these lines. Now I got to do the lines going across them the other direction. So I'm going to come in here. There we go. So we got a little shadow on that side of the mountain. Now my mountains are looking real three-dimensional, right? Very cool looking. I'm dying to see your pictures, how these turn out. Okay, we got the next mountain here. We're going to go to the top peak. And remember, we're going to connect it to where the one before it stopped. So I'm going to go from here to here. But again, I don't want to go just in a straight line to connect that point to that point. So I'm going to start at the top. Give it just a few angles. Every mountain doesn't have to have a lot of jagged parts in it. Okay, so go from this little peak at the top, the little top point on your mountain, and go down to where this mountain before it stopped. And I think since this little mountain peak is so close together with this mountain peak, I'm going to get this a really dark shadow. See how close all my little lines are here? I'm going to give this a kind of dark shadow because it's got this big mountain right in front of it. So I'm going to come in and give it lots of little lines close together. And I'm going to crisscross them. So that's got, see how this shadow looks so much darker than this shadow? Cross hatching, it's kind of like pointillism. If you've ever done pointillism where you use little dots to fill in something that you're coloring. Pointillism, when you put the dots really close together, makes a dark shadow. And when you space the dots further apart, it makes the area look lighter. Same with cross hatching. This is another way to shadow, just like pointillism, but we're using lines. Instead of dots, we're using lines. The closer together the lines are, the darker it looks. The farther apart the lines are, the lighter it looks. But we still look like we have a shadow here. So I got two more mountains to make three-dimensional. See how these mountains all of a sudden look so much more three-dimensional than these mountains over here. Okay, so I'm going to come to this next one. I don't have a very big area because here's the point of the mountain. And it's going to come down to this point right here. That's this one right here. So I'm going to start here, go out. So I meet that little point and give it its cross hatching. Put some little lines in here and crisscross the other way with some lines. Well, looks pretty cool. Joe, you're standing in front of the clock. Thank you. Okay, we have one last mountain to make three-dimensional. So find the little peak. My little peak's almost all the way off the paper here. If your peak went all the way off the paper, then just imagine where it would be off the paper. Start your line, and then your line will hook in when you come here. But I've just barely got the point of my mountain on here. So I'm going to connect that point to that point. Now this one I got real, almost like put another little mountaintop in here. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go down, give it a few little jagged angles. And then I'm going to come in and give it its little lines. Lines one direction. And come on and put lines the other direction. There we go. So now we have a very three-dimensional mountain range. I kind of liked giving, these are some like nooks and crannies and crevices in the front of it. So you can go back and add some of those. Do you notice one thing about them? They go in the same angle as our mountains. They don't go straight up and down. They don't go this way because they're on the face of the mountain, and the face of the mountain goes this direction. So if you were running your hand across it, it would go this way. See all these diagonal lines going this way? So if you make some nooks and crannies for the front of your mountain, you want them to go in the same direction. I could put a little line going down here, a little line next to it. Just put a few little lines in between. I'm gonna have a big crack. These are like cracks that opened up in the face of the mountain. So I could pretend, just like I have a diagonal line coming down here, I could give one that's got a few angles to it. I could open it up this way, but then come back over. So it's almost giving a peak, just like up here. Put a few little lines in it. Cross hatch across them. What do you think? There's only 2 crevices, so I have to put one more crevice because we have to have an odd number. Where would be another good spot for a crevice? Over here, maybe? Let's put a little one. These are little mountains, so I won't give them such a big crevice like this. Let's put a little one. So one, make a diagonal. Think of a diagonal, but not just a straight line for the diagonal. So I'll start here, come in and out a little bit, go this way a little bit, kind of like drawing really skinny diamonds, stretched out, long, skinny diamonds. And then put a few little cross hatches in there. There we go. Cool looking mountain range. I added just a few little, almost dots, but they're a little bit longer than a dot, just so the snow didn't look so perfect. Had a few little spots where maybe we were seeing the top of a rock sticking through. You notice all my tiny little lines though go in this same diagonal direction. So you can pick a few spots. I think my Sharpie's running out. Pick a few spots, give it a few little short dots, little short lines, just so our snow doesn't look too perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a trick with trees. Here's one way to think about trees. We made a raggedy tree the other day. I got an easier way to do a tree. They're a basic triangle shape. And think about them like if you took a cupcake, paper liner for a cupcake, and we were stacking them upside down. Think of like a grass skirt, like if you see a skirt that mom puts on, or a grass skirt when you see people doing hula dancing. We're going to think of stacking skirts and leaving white space in between. Now, see how big my tree is in this picture? This is the biggest tree we got. These are awesome, huge, enormous mountains, so we don't want to put a tree that's going to be this tall. So we need to keep our trees, they're down here on the part of the mountain where some of the snow has started to thaw, and we've got our trees growing here. So I'm going to put one tree, but I'm only going to have it come maybe halfway up the mountain. What I'm going to do is start at the top of a tree and make myself a little triangle. But I'm going to make my triangle like this. I'm going to switch back to my paper for a minute. Watch for just a minute about making a tree. We want our tree to basically have this triangle shape, right? But we don't want our edges to be that perfect because it's not a Christmas tree farm. So if we start at the top, and I think of a triangle shape. I can start at the top and draw the tiny top with a bunch of little lines. Just like we were cross-hatching, we're gonna draw some little lines. See how you see a little bit of white space between my lines? And then we're gonna go below that and we're going to leave even more spaces, leave a little bit of space in between in some time, and then put another skirt on. So think of putting skirts on like this. And then we'll do one big skirt at the bottom. Now, in some places we leave some white space between, and then in some places we let them overlap a little. But leave a few little white spaces. You can go back and make some of your sides stick out a little bit more if you want to. You could fill in some of the white spaces on one side, so we get more white space on one side. This is how we're going to do our trees, okay? So I'm going to pull my paper out here. So think of drawing little skirts. I'll leave a little bit of space and put like a little fringy, think of a fringe of a grass skirt. I'll put another one under that. And another one under that. Another one under that. Each grass skirt here is getting a little wider and a little wider, right? I'm going to make this pine tree go all the way to the bottom of my page and go right off the bottom of my page. Now, be sure and leave some white spaces between your tree. And if it looks absolutely too perfect down one side, you know, come over here and pull a few of these limbs out a little further, so they don't look so perfectly trimmed. We can hook together some of the white spaces on one side, so we get like more of a shadow over here. I'll fill in some of my white spaces. There we go. So I got one tree there. You can add as many trees as you want. Make some small ones, make some medium-sized ones. I'm going to let that tree just be by itself and come show you what we're going to do for your sky. Okay, you can go back with your Sharpie and add all kinds of trees. I'd suggest adding a smaller one up here. You can put a little small one in here, because you can't just leave one tree, right?
You need to show it so it shows dimension back.
Okay, so I put a little tree here. If I put an even smaller tree back here, the smaller an object looks, the farther away it looks. Okay, so we can put another little one over here. We can let them, since they don't usually space so far apart from each other, we can let this one go right behind that one. And then maybe I'll see the top of one coming in here, and I'll make it bigger. See how it's more the size of this one? And this one would look like it's just going to go right off the page there. We could put one little one over here. So if you have some little ones next to the big one, that makes it feel like we've got some pine trees going up the side of the mountain there. I think I need a little one over here. Maybe a medium-sized one over here. A little skinny top on him. Okay, so now we got a little feeling like they're going up the mountain a little bit. We're going to get our paints out. So I'm going to take the caps off. That's my purple. There's my blue. And I just got a little bit of black because we don't need too much black. Put my lids up there. Okay. Now I'm going to use my big brush to scoop my paint out. I'm going to use my plate to put the paint on. So I'm gonna if I prop this up here, Mr. Joey, can we still see it?
Mhm.
Okay. This is where you might want to have a little paper underneath your paper so you don't get paint on the table. I'm going to put my page up here for just a second so I can put my paint out here so you can see. Okay? Everybody see okay? I'm going to save my point brush for when we get near the mountains. We're going to start at the top of the page. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with the blue. And we're going to put some blue on the plate first, and we'll go get some red or purple, and then we'll go get some black. So my brush is already damp. You can stick your brush in the water, pat it off on your paper towel so it's not too wet, okay? And then we want to go into our blue cup here and pick up just a little bit of that blue, put it down on our plate. And then we're going to stick our brush in the water and add some water. Now these chip brushes hold a lot of water, so that I just need to dip it that one time. And that's going to make my blue plenty watery. Put it on one part of your plate here. Don't put it in the middle because we're going to put another part over here, another color over here. So put it over here on the side. Your rinse water turned blue, didn't it? And I'm going to pull my picture back down here so you can see. Can you guys see if I put this up like this? No. Can you see, Mr. Joey? Because we could pull back from this part. Okay. I got blue on my brush. I'm going to think of up here in the top half of the sky. I'll put some blue on here. Remember how I told you that watercolors can blend with each other as long as they're wet? So I'm going to put the blue. I don't have to get too close to the mountains. I can do that with my little brush. So I got some blue on my paper here. Try not to leave any big puddly areas. So spread the puddles out. And then I'm going to put my brush in my rinse water and I'm going to swish it off like this. Pat it dry again. Get all that excess water off the brush. Just pat it dry. And then I'm going to pick up some purple. I'll put purple over here on my plate and dip my brush in once and add some more water to it. Oops, my brush didn't get in the water. There we go. So our purple should look like that. And my brush is full of purple watercolor. So I'm going to come in here with the purple. Add some purple to my sky. Doesn't that look cool? Go right down where I put the blue. So I got all this nice blue and purple in my sky now. Now, if you get a lot of a puddle along the top like this, keep spreading it out. If we get too much of a puddle, we can soak it up a little bit. I'm going to leave the purple on there. I'm going to rinse the purple out of my brush. And last color, I'm going to put a little bit of black on. So kind of soak all the water off your big fat chip brush here. Come into your black. Don't need much black. Miss Ginny didn't pick up much black. Put the black on your plate over here on the third part of your plate. Put a little bit of water with it. I didn't put as much water with my black. I'm going to come in here at the top with my black. Right in this wet part at the top, I'm going to put a little bit of black. I'm going to let it just blend right in. It's going to bleed right into the rest of my sky here. So my sky looks nice and dark here. Now I need to get close to the mountains. So I'm going to switch from using my big fat chip brush. I'm going to use my little brush. Okay. So if I'm not going to use this brush anymore, we need to put it in the rinse water. I'm going to pick up my little brush And I'm gonna come in with some of the blue and purple and get right down near where my mountains are. Get this little brush wet, with your little point brush, get it wet, tap it off on the paper towel. And I'm gonna start by picking up a little bit of my blue. Are you seeing this? Okay. I'm gonna come right in here and get my blue right down by my mountain here. I've still got enough little puddles right here on my paper. I don't even have to dip my brush again. I can get right down next to the edge of the mountains here. Over here. And then what's really cool is once we get all this color right down here by the mountains, I can come back in and add some more cool colors in places. Now, do you see how I got a really big puddle right here? See how my paper's kind of bent up this way, and I got a puddle here. So I want to spread that puddle out. I can use my little brush like this, spread that puddle out. So I don't want puddles in my sky. And I can pick up some purple. I can bring some more purple down into my sky down here by my mountains. I could pick up some more black and get my sky really black over here on this edge. I want to. Maybe we'll put some more purple right over in here. I like the purple. Now, if you seem to have just a ton of water that's making a bunch of puddles, pat your brush off on the paper towel. That'll take a lot of the water off your brush. I think I kind of like that black way down here by the mountains too. So we're going to bring some black down in here. Okay. How are you liking your night skies? Maybe I'll bring some black over here. I really like this purple. I like seeing this purple in the sky. I still have a puddle. My paper still keeps making a puddle in the middle. So I'm going to keep pulling that color out here. I like how my sky has got all these different colors to it though. Looks like a night sky. It looks dark, but it's got lots of color to it. Put some more blue into the sky right here. Now when I put the paint on, kind of leaves these little brush strokes, but my paper's still so wet that it soaks right in. Add a little bit more black to our sky over here. So we got this nice night sky here. Your paper will take maybe another hour or so to dry out. It'll get nice and dry like this. When it's really, really dry, later this afternoon, you can take your chalk and give some tiny little stars in the sky. If we're putting tiny little stars in the sky, we're going to see the most of them up here near the top of the sky. So when you look up in the sky, the stars are usually up there above what you see in front of you. So we can add, you can use your chalk and add some stars later today when your paint's all dry. I got to keep brushing my little puddle out here. There we go. Okay. Are you getting some pretty night skies? You can keep playing with the color. You can keep adding more color. As long as your watercolor is wet, you can blend them in. Once it starts drying, they won't blend anymore. Okay. So you can come in and add more little dots on your mountain here. You can, are we going to switch back to our other camera here? You can keep adding, as long as your sky's wet, you can keep putting more color into it. You can go back and add some more little dots to your mountainside here. Mr. Joey's going to bring me my big pot. Remember last Friday, if you were here last week, We have this big pot.
Tell her I want her to do the, I want to put up the, poll.
Oh, and Mr. Mark has something new. He's been learning all kinds of techie things this week. Learned how to make a slideshow. He also learned how to put a questionnaire, to take a poll. Everybody that we've done, have you put all 10 projects on there?
We can only do 4, so it was the 4 from the beginning of this week.
Okay, so Mr. Mark has put a poll up there, a questionnaire, and he wants you to go on and pick. He's put 4 projects up there, the 4 that we've done this week, and he wants you to pick what has been your favorite project to do. He's having fun learning all these things he can do online. So you've got a poll up there, like a survey. So check which one was your favorite, and Mr. Joey's going to hand me our big pot. And I have got, oh my gosh, I've got all these names in here. Every time a reservations come in, we put your name in it. So everybody out there doing our projects, do you hear all my little piece of paper in here? Everybody that's been doing a project, your name went into this pot. And I'm going to pull a name out, and then we'll give a $25 credit to that person to use for summer camper classes. Whenever we start back up doing something, you'll have a $25 credit. So see if I can mix up all my little names in here, and we will pull out a name. Mr. Joey, here, take my pot. Thank you. And I've got Michaela Wyckoff. Just pulled your name out, Michaela. That's funny because I was just talking about Michaela this morning too, because she gave me this really, really pretty picture of herself holding her goofy birds. So Michaela, hi Michaela. I think I saw you. Did Michaela log on earlier today? Michaela pulled your name out. So it's going to go up here with Bay's name that we pulled last week. So these are our $25 credit winners there. So have fun finishing your mountains. It's Friday to the end of the week, so I don't get to talk to you tomorrow and Sunday, but I'll see everybody on Monday. We've got a lot of orders coming in for bags, so if you haven't gone on and ordered your bag, be sure and go on and order your bag. Next week, we're actually going to have clay in your bag that will get picked up on Saturday here at the studio. So we're doing a clay project next week. We're doing a design project next week that we're going to turn into an Easter egg. We're using some watercolor again next week. We're going to do another ink wash project. So if you were here 2 weeks ago with us, and if you've watched in the slideshow and you saw those really cool dolphins that people did that were jumping out of the water, the dolphin was done with an ink wash. We have a special marker that we use that's water-soluble ink. And we're going to do an ink wash project on Monday of a pelican. So that will be really cool. We're gonna draw a pelican sitting on top of one of the piers like you sometimes see at our marinas around on Hilton Head. So we'll be doing some ink wash. We're doing clay. We're doing watercolor next week. And I don't have my list in front of me to know what everything else we're doing. So if you haven't ordered your bag, you need to go on and order your bag. We're going to have them all ready here at the studio for our grab and go. They'll be on the tables outside. I'll be checking off your names. Congratulations, Michaela. And you guys have a fun weekend. Don't forget, today is Friday, which is the town promoting you to chalk the walk. So find some sidewalk chalk and go to the end of your driveways and draw some gorgeous pictures. You could draw a mountain range. You could put the sky on. Do whatever you'd like. Say happy Friday to somebody. And we will see you on Monday. Bye.